So, if there's no more happy bucks, then we're going to give Juber an early start. So, Juber Arteaga is a seasoned entrepreneur and personal development coach. He strives to share his knowledge and experience with others. He firmly believes in the immense power of our minds, combined with the infinite support of a higher power to create meaningful transformations in our lives. Juber is here today to share his journey overcoming obstacles while growing up in a dictatorship in Venezuela and achieving success. This is what fuels his desire to help others realize their potential and manifest their grandest dreams and visions for themselves. So, if you give a warm Rotary welcome to Juber. And I think we're double recording for today, so
Yeah.
twice the fun, twice the power. So welcome, and do you want me to yank this out for you? Sometimes it's kind of hard to do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today, guys. So before I introduce myself, I would like to let you know that I'm not supported by any political party. Everything I'm going to share with you today, it's about my own experiences, and you can take whatever is useful for you. So my name is Juber Arteaga, and I come from Venezuela. In Venezuela, it's a place that is living a situation right now where almost 8 million people have migrated from there, almost our third part of the country, because since Venezuela has a population of almost 26 millions of people there. So, are we good?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's better.
You had a bunch of little bubbles on
Oh, I see. Those were not boogers, guys, was the light. So, Venezuela is living a situation now that is a result from a system that rulers have implemented there. Socialism or communism, these two terms are almost the same, talking about nowadays. And actually, something even more dangerous could be happening now in Venezuela. There is a modern dictatorship that it might be even worse. So everything starts in these systems when these rulers start helping like the poorest and the most desperate people to tell them that they are poor because someone else is rich, that somebody else has the blame of them being in that situation. So they started helping them to get the support to establish themselves in political power, and from there start controlling the country. So the first act that it'll be the most dangerous that could like damage any country, and which it did in ours, it was changing the constitution. Once they did that, they were able to change and establish many laws that helped them to keep in the political power of our country. So I lived one of them that was setting prices. So regulations, they started doing regulation on prices of products, essential products. What I mean for essential products is hygiene products, food, and all these basic things that are actually our first need, you know, keeping us alive and keeping us in the system. It's like you need to eat to keep living, right? So when they control the price of these these important products, what happens is that the market start like running different, because now you have to go till that point in the product that you're selling now. But the things that they are setting the price below the price of manufacturing the product, which means that if you sell it, you lose money. So there's not business in that situation, right? Because you're going to start just losing money. But the thing is that the strategies they use to say that, see, this is the price that you are supposed to buy these products that are important to you, that are the most important products, but they don't want to sell them that in that price, but we have them. And by many, let's say, other organizations, they create these products and started selling that to the poorest people, to the most desperate people, to, start controlling them. So I lived that, and in my own business, because my family had always business and I always helped them to manage them, and I started and created my own business, and I lived that situation. So now we were against the law, because a law they created themselves, right? They created this law to start in manipulating people and telling them, hey, you are in this situation because all of these companies, this is what they are doing. So many laws like that, they were created, until we get to a point where our country was not the same. Our economy crashed down. Even our culture was completely different, where we start attacking each other, trying to find who had the fault, why we were going through this situation, and we were attacking each other to trying to know why this was happening. But we never blame the government until we get to a point where we realize like the changes of all of these laws, they created a situation. So since they had to keep us in control, one of these laws that they created, and I know this is a very controversial topic here in the United States, but they make illegal the carrying of arms. So when we started protesting against the government because we were not agree with the system they were implementing to our country, so we were defenseless against them because they were attacking us and killing us and taking us right away to jail, just because we were not agree with the way they were doing things, because we were in the streets protesting against them and telling them we need a change that is not this one that you are creating now. But we didn't have anything to defend ourselves, because it was illegal you being in the streets with a gun, because they set that law before. So as you see, they start creating, since the change of the constitution, they start creating step by step how they are going to build this, let's say, big manipulation around the country, and how you are then against the law because of something that they said before, because something they created they created before, and because of something that is not in the first constitution that it was made in my country. So we didn't like that. We started protesting against the government. I did. I remember being in high school protesting. It was in those times where Venezuela was in a really bad situation, and we were many of my friends. They were put in jail right away just because they wanted to say they were not agree. So we realized about a harsh situation at that time, and it was that we were losing our freedom of speech, and that's something that nowadays you can see that's like maybe sometimes taken for granted, but it's really important once you are battling against someone that is trying to shut you down, and you want to tell them, I don't like this. And then you have the right of telling them, I don't like this. I don't want this for me, for my family, for my generation. You have the right, but they can take that apart. And that's why I created these speeches, guys, to let you know how we live there, because we had it all. We had our freedom of speech. We had a strong economy, but then everything went down because of just one system that it was implemented in our country. And since we lost our freedom of speech, so then we started protesting like even harder and more difficult, and all the time like we were on the streets. And one of the most vivid memories I have is once protesting. That was actually a celebration march because we had won the elections for the Congress, and we won the majority of representatives in the Congress. So I remember we were marching peacefully. It was a caravan of cars and people, and I was in my car marching. We were celebrating because we won that, and when until we get to a police station, and once we are there, so hooded individuals started coming from that police station, and they had sticks and bats in their hands, and I realized there are people running the opposite way of the march. And the first thing when I look in front is I see a hooded person with a bat kicking a windshield of the car that was in front of me. When I saw that, I was like, okay, I have to get out of here. People were running everywhere, and in that part, so fortunately for me, on the left side, I had a space where I could pass my car between the cars that I had there. So I did that really quick, and while I'm doing that, a person just hit my window, and then fortunately I could get out there really, really fast. But the reality is that many of my friends they stayed there and they were beaten by these guys and they were put in jail after that. So there you can see the repression they did to us, right? And then everything scaled to another level because they had to, since they created all the situation, they had to keep us like the same control of us, not protesting much. And in that point, so situation happened in Venezuela where they started cutting the electricity, so we didn't have. That's actually now that I have studied some psychological coaching, I've realized how bigger situation that is happened in a country or in a demographic place can affect the psychology of the people. And that's what actually happened to us. Since the electricity was cut, since we didn't have water to take a normal shower or something, so since our psychology started like change, and it was completely different. There's where our culture changed a little bit, and it was really sad because that's really important to you, and that's something that you grew up with. You know, that's something that you have that makes you Venezuelan, that makes you American, that makes you any nationality, and you started not having that anymore because your psychology is changing because of the situation of the country is changing because you are creating the situation to keep you in that control. So I remember 2019, we had an electricity cut of 5 days. That was like living in a movie. We didn't expect that at all. I don't know if you had seen, if you had watched those movies where it's like zombies around the around the city, or if where you see like it is difficult for people to get water, to get um, your car running or things like that. So what I remember is that when we were in those days, people were like crazy trying to find at least ice, so you could drink at least water, cold water. And since Venezuela is a tropical country, we have like 100 degrees almost all the time there during the year. So people were like crazy finding out these essential products, trying to find them. It was like you could see like in the gas stations lines of thousands, hundreds of cars just trying to get the gasoline because about by that time, as Venezuelans had a lot of these electricity cuts, a lot of people had generators to create their own energy because you need gasoline to start those generators. So gas stations they were full of thousands and hundreds of cars just to get some gasoline and to get keep everything running. I was in the industry of chicken and fish wholesale. My father had a butcher shop. So imagine going through a situation where you have a product that overnight you can lose all your capital and all of that. And actually that happened to us. So since we didn't, we had our plants, our generators, but they couldn't last that much. And also, well, fortunately for us, we had some gasoline saved and we did it well for a couple of days, but then later it was more difficult and difficult to get. So, but in that point, something good happening, and what we saw is that our part of humanity started coming out. We started helping each other because we all were going through the same situation. At that time, we realized it wasn't about us. It wasn't about the people. It was about the government. It was about these rulers and dictatorship who created all of this situation. So we started helping each other till we get to a point. I remember being in my sister house. She has a water well, and she had a pump. So we took our generator there so we could take some water from there for our houses. And then when we are doing that, we realized that hundreds of people started coming over to get some ice, to get some water. Since we were helping each other, we all were going through the same situation. So we just left the generator there so people could get some water for the rest of the days. So I'm not telling you these guys because I want you to think that Venezuela is a bad place to go. Venezuela has like beautiful landscapes, have beautiful beaches, rivers, and actually people up there are really welcoming. If you go there, they will give you whatever you ask them for. Like they have a really big heart. It is the government that it was established there. It was the system who stole everything from us, and I don't want that that situation happen the same either here or in any country around the world, because it is a really hard feeling to describe how you can, how you feel that pain of having everything in your country and now you have to migrate to another country and live another situation and live another life just because someone else stole what you already had in that moment. So I know United States have big problems, but also people here we have the greatest solutions. And I just want to let you know, guys, about that, and maybe being more grateful for what we have here, and so you don't live the same situation that we live. Thank you so much.
Do you have any questions for?
Yeah, any question that you might have about, yeah.
I think I asked him all the questions earlier. How is your family getting along now?
So, I mean, sometimes it's difficult. It's like I have to be really careful with things that I post on Instagram or my social media accounts because they can see that, like that's public. So if they see that I'm here, like unveiling everything that what they are doing that there, so they can attack my family. And they did that to us actually before because I protested against the government. They they track you, and they start knowing where you live and all of that. They have all the information, and then they will try to, you know, um, to create fear, around you, around your family or something. So they are really good now. Let's say they are living a good life. Let's say they don't have these problems because the problem was on me since I protested, and they wanting me in jail because I was using my freedom of speech to tell them that I didn't like that. So that's the thing. Is like if they don't get you, they will get you in another place. Like let's say on your family, to create that fear. They are really good. I'm really thankful for that. I think it was a good decision, anyways, moving here, because I mean I love my family, and I don't want that something happens to them. So if I'm here and they are safe there, I think they are super good. Yes, Brian.
How did you manage to leave Venezuela?
Managing.
Did the government just put you in a cab and send you to the airport?
That would have been easier. So actually, actually, when you move Venezuela, so at that time we didn't have passport because that's another way how they can keep people inside and control. There are many ways that socialism and communism uses these tactical, let's say, strategies to keep you like in fear. One of them was not giving you the passport, so you had to like leave the country under the borders, so they don't see you or something. So you pretty much you flee the country, and then you move from there. Fortunately for me, my passport was on time, but it was valid, and I could cross the border like good. But I know for many Venezuelans they were not that lucky, let's say.
What country did you go to first?
So you go to Colombia because that's the country that is bordering Venezuela. So as my mother is half Colombian, so I had that passport. So that was like easier for me, you know. And but I know many Venezuelans that are not that lucky. So the first, it depends because Venezuela is bordering Brazil and it's bordering Colombia. So many of them they just go uses those borders so just to leave the country. Hmm.
So you came from Colombia? You, where did you come from to get here?
Yeah, from Colombia.
From Colombia
That's
to
right.
get here.
Yeah, 'cause-
And what did they say when you came in? Or did they, are you here on a, what do they call it?
Work permit.
What's the word?
Visa, green card.
No.
so I'm under asylum.
Asylum.
Yeah,
You
I'm
are-
under asylum. Yeah,
you're
that's
on
right.
asylum. And where
Mhm.
did you have to, where did you have to apply for asylum?
So either you apply like after you get into United States or once you are here. It depends like because every in that immigration part is like it depends on your case. So in my case, I had to apply when I was here already.
And who did
So
you apply with?
who
do you
you?
apply with when you come in and you want to be on asylum? Who do you, I mean, what happens? You come in, you get off the airplane, and then you,
Oh no, you need a visa to get in here. Definitely, like you need a visa to get into the United States. Once you're here, you explain, hey, I'm living this, you know. So you apply for an asylum. So you are like, okay, so okay,
and
we know that you're
is
here.
that instantaneous or is there?
Oh no, it takes a time.
It
Yeah.
does.
Hmm.
Yeah, no kidding.
For
I mean,
that
you know,
time.
we hear about this, but we never hear of the exact machinations, if you will, of how the machine works. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So we hear the term asylum, right? But how, you know, so you fly in and then you apply and then you have to wait and then you have to, I mean, it just doesn't happen like,
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, it is a slow process. Once like let's say 1 year, things are easier for this person who is applying for asylum because the thing is that you need to like come here and it depends on your situation. Like in mine, I had my business and I still living from there. And while I was applying for asylum, right? So I applied for asylum and then I had to sell my business there. I sold it. I lived from there for a while, and then when I got my work permit, I could work. So but for some people, they have to wait more longer. Nowadays, I know like immigration. There is a lot of talk about immigration now, so they are doing things faster, and it depends on the case of the person. But usually, it's a long process that you go through to until you can work and until you go to court to explain what happened to you in like in my case, Venezuela. Hmm. I mean, is there another question there that you think like you will need to know about asylum?
well, no, I mean, it's like when I go to, when I go to Mexico and there, you know, you gotta, I've had people with me that are stopped from going, and I get there and they check you out, and if you would overstay that visa for 3 days in Cancun, they'll come over and find you and drag you back, you know what I mean? So, and then you hear about people coming, and you never hear about how it actually works. I mean, we just hear they gloss over it, they say asylum, it's a term we hear on the news. We never get to meet anyone like yourself,
Oh,
who's a.
who went through the process?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard process. I remember, like, I mean, I left everything in my country, left my family, left my culture, left everything, my business, everything I left there. Um, and like in my case, also I went through a divorce just for moving here. So imagine, like, that put me in a really dark situation at the moment. And since you're in a new country, you don't have the language, you don't have friends, you don't. So your psychology start working different, right? You go through depression actually, and many immigrants go through depression just because of that. And it's really hard to, like realizing that you're leaving your country not because you want it, it's because someone else pushed you to do it, because you were gonna hurt your family or put you in a really bad situation in jail, maybe, like in my case, if you stay there. So, so once you're here, I remember like in my when I was in the Kellogg Boulevard, Kellogg building, living with friends there. I remember I was in the we were living in floor 21st, and I remember like I was really depressed by that time during the first year. Anyways, like I was alive, you know, I was grateful because I was alive, because I was good, because I was here, because it was a new beginning. Anyways, it's depressed, pretty depressing knowing that you left everything. And I remember like me being alone and all of that, looking in from the window, in the floor 21st, and saying, you know, it'll be so easy just finishing everything here. Just jump in, that's it. You know, you finish everything, that's it. And in that moment, I was feeling really bad things and feelings inside of myself. And I remember I had a talk with God and I was asking him, why am I going through all of this? Why am I going through this situation? I think I'm a good person. I'm doing this because of my family. I don't want them to get hurt. You know, why am I going through all of this? And he told me, you know, there is something good inside of that. And how there's something good in here. Like, what do you think here? What are you seeing here that is good? Because all what I see is bad situation. And he told me, well, at least you don't have a mother-in-law. So I was like, there is something good. At least there is something good, yeah, that you can see that I don't. That wasn't the conversation that changed my life. But from there, like, I realized about something that is there. Doesn't matter what situation you go through, that you will find something that is good, you know. So from there, I started working out like really hard. I changed my body. That helped me to change my mindset until I get to a point where I said, you know, I know there are a lot of immigrants or people that are struggling with the same situations that I did. So let's create something so I can help them about that. So I would say that's my biggest success still now, that being able to do my purpose that is helping others, and this is a part of that too.
How long have you been here?
3 years.
How long?
Mhm.
Could you kind of map out from Colombia to the cities you've been to here in the United States and how you ended up in Minneapolis?
Oh, it was Colombia, Mexico, USA. That's it.
Drove to Minneapolis,
Yeah.
Mexico to Minneapolis?
Why?
So,
It's so cold.
because,
It's so cold.
oh, why here? You know, I always get those questions, especially when I tell them that I live in when I tell them that I live in Owatonna. They are more like impressed by it, like why here? Um, you know, guys, I would say like I was really lucky just being here. The thing that about you talk, the Minnesota nice, that's true. That's completely true, and I can tell you about it. I lived it, and I'm really grateful just about being here and getting that warm place. As coming from Latin culture, we like to, you know, be with each other. We be with each other a lot of the time, and I felt that here. And I had friends in St. Paul. That'll be the easiest answer. Like I had friends there. I knew I was moving here. They told me, yeah, you can come here for sure. I'm really grateful for that. Then I moved to Minneapolis. Then I met this girl and I moved to Owatonna. So that's how I ended up in Owatonna, if you were wondering. But I wouldn't say it's why. I would say it's thank you actually, because here people are way different. I don't know how that happened, but I'm grateful that it is like that way.
I have a question.
Yes, babe.
Do you see any way out of this situation for Venezuela?
Fears are all changing the leadership that Venezuela has, all left and right. It's more about creating a new leadership because I would say that way Venezuelans would have another hope, you know, of creating a new country. Since you do that, since let's say in this case that you changed all the governments or the rulers that Venezuela have. In that moment, it will take, I would say, with a good leadership, 30 years to change the whole country, to get to where it was. In the 70s, Venezuela had a stronger economy than USA. So get to that point again. So it's a long process. It is not impossible. I know it's completely possible, but two changes should happen there from my perspective. One is changing the mindset of the people that were already manipulated, and the other one is changing the leadership for sure. Let's say.
Who is it, Maduro now?
Yeah.
Maduro,
Mhm. So yeah, now I mean they've been more in touch with the USA government. They don't look friendly yet, so I don't know how the situation is going to end up. Let's see. I mean, I would say in some way we're really grateful because USA has supported a lot the Venezuelans. So that's something good because I would say I think they understand it. You guys understand in a different way how important is keeping the freedom of speech, and that's one of the most important things that I would like you to keep in mind is that from there, since you lose that, you lose everything. You lose your essence as person, and if there's something on top that is trying to take that away from you, just be aware about it.
Thank you.